chapter 2. Bhagwan Krishna's Upadesh only starts in verse number 11. Up till that time, the ranting and raving of Arjun's delusion will continue. But after the 11th verse, Bhagwan will systematically give us all the entire process involved in attaining liberation. Arjun heard this full chapter 2, right? And after being told the entire process involved in liberation from samsara, he could have been enlightened. He would have been completely with all the gyan required and straight from the Mukharvind of Bhagwan Krishna. But it was too much knowledge for him to absorb in one shot. He needed Bhagwan to repeat it again and again, gradually, slowly, through the entire Bhagavad Gita. And that gave rise to the next 16 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So in all, there are 72 shlokas in the second chapter. If we were to break it down, we would say the first 10 verses are still concerned with Arjun's delusion. Then in the next 44 shlokas, Bhagwan will give us the entire Brahma Vidya. What is Brahma Vidya? Knowledge of Brahma. Knowledge of our true nature. And not only that will he give us the knowledge, but he will also be giving us the technique of attaining liberation from the sorrows of samsara. So that's 44 verses. Very, very interesting. I mean, it has the potential of awakening anyone who is surrendering to this knowledge, absorbing it, and implementing it. And then we have at the end of that the last 18 shlokas of this chapter, where Bhagwan Krishna will give us a detailed description of a realized person who he will call Sthita Pragniya. And these are also very, very interesting verses, because it will help us to actually map our own progress on the spiritual path. So let's start the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and we'll start with chanting 2 or 3 verses only today, and you also can chant along with me. Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Atha Dvitiyodhyayaha. Sanjay Uvacha. Tam Tatha Kripaya Vishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam Vishidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudana. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalam Idam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtamasvargyam Akirti Karamarjuna. Klaibyam asmagama partha naitattvayupapadyate Shudram hridaya dorbalyam Tyaktvotishta parantapa. Om Tat Sat. Verse number 1. Sanjay said, Shri Krishna then addressed the following words to Arjun, who was, as mentioned before, overwhelmed with pity, whose eyes were filled with tears and agitated, and who was full of sorrow. Who is saying these words? Sanjay. Sanjay Uvacha means Sanjay said to who? To Dhritarashtra. And he said to Dhritarashtra that now Shri Krishna, that means Bhagwan Krishna, is going to say something to Arjun. And what is the condition of Arjun? As mentioned before, because we left him in that condition in chapter 1, how is he? He's overwhelmed with pity. And his eyes are full of tears, means he's crying. He's agitated and he's full of sorrow. Alright. Let's take down the meanings of each word. You see, the last word in the verse is Madhusudan. You know that Madhusudan is Bhagwan Krishna. Tatha, then, Uvacha, said, Idam, these, Vakyam, words, Tam, to him meaning to Arjun. And what was Arjun's condition? Avishtam, overwhelmed. With what? Kripaya, with pity. And Ikshanam, his eyes were Ashtupurna, filled with tears. And he was Akula, distressed. And he was Vishidantam, grief-stricken. Now just imagine. We imagine Arjun as this great, valiant warrior. A Kshatriya. A Kshatriya who has fought many battles, who has won all his battles, who has destroyed Rakshas, demons, enemies. And what aspect of Arjun are we seeing here? A far cry from that valiant warrior. We have never seen him like this, overwhelmed with pity, crying, sobbing, distressed with sorrow. What are the words which describe this? See, Kripaya. Let's take one at a time. Kripaya means with pity. Now, there's a great difference between pity and compassion. Pity is an avgun. It's not something good to have. Compassion is a sadgun. But pity is an avgun. What is the difference? See, pity is not a noble emotion. And let us see why. When you feel pity for someone, you see that person as if that person is in a wretched situation. And you are in an elevated position. And you are feeling pity for that person. But that's all. Your involvement with that person ends with feeling pity. You say, oh, this poor beggar, look at his condition. But that's all. Or you will see a homeless child, oh, poor child. You will say, what a pity. And then that's it. Now this is not good. This is not recommended. Why? Because ek to you are becoming judgmental about that person's condition and you are doing nothing about it. Now there is another form of pity also, which is even worse. And that form of pity is self-pity. You feel sorry for your own condition, which you feel is filled with pain and unfair and injustice and all kinds of things. This typical classic poor me syndrome. This is also not recommended. Why? Because if you see yourself as a poor me, how will you rise out of this condition? You will always be looking down at yourself and you cannot help yourself come out of it. So this is also not at all recommended. Now, in pity, you also consider yourself in a higher position. You are looking down at someone who is unfortunate or less fortunate. This is also has a danger because it will inflate your own ego. So all in all, it is not pity that we want to feel. What is a better emotion than pity is compassion. Compassion is a good emotion. It's a better emotion than pity. Why? Because compassion is generally preceded by empathy, where you are not judging another. You are not playing the savior of the downtrodden. It means you understand that person's situation. You want to help that person, but not as a savior. You want to help that person by giving them the confidence of being able to get out of that situation with their own effort. Now let us see here. What is Arjun feeling pity for? For whom? I can see it at 3 levels. Firstly, I think Arjun is feeling pity for the Kauravas, the enemy on the other side of the battlefield. Now, what is he saying? Oh, he's expressing pity. Pity for who? Pity for those who are doing adharma. He is feeling pity for adharmic actions. This is a completely misplaced pity. It's like saying, oh, I feel pity for this poor murderer. Now he will have to go to jail. Yes, he will have to go to jail because he has done adharma. This is not a place to feel pity. This is not a person for whom you should feel pity. So that's one. Secondly, I think he is feeling pity for himself also. Self-pity. Such a crippling emotion. An emotion which handicaps you. An emotion which will always keep you down. Poor me syndrome. You'll never be able to rise above your problem. This self-pity is at the bottommost rung of the emotional ladder. What does it say? Can you imagine what Arjun is thinking? He's saying, poor me. See what a situation I am in. I am in a battle and I have to fight my relatives. I have to fight with my brothers. I have to fight with my guru. I have to fight with Bhishma Pitama, who I revere, I adore, I respect. This self-pity will always keep the victim oppressed. When you play the victim card, you will always see yourself as the victim and you will never be able to rise above this. There's no hope for such a person. Now, let us see it at the symbolic level. We all know that all the characters in Bhagavad, and we have discussed this many times before, they all symbolize different traits in each one of us. So, Kauravas, you know, they symbolize negative tendencies in all of us. Bhishma Pitama we have associated with the trait of ego. Dronacharya as sanskars, Duryodhan as material desires. Now, it's very interesting, and you can also identify with this. Whenever we embark on our spiritual journey, we have to, part of this journey is to train and develop our sattvic qualities, right? Now, as we train and develop our sattvic qualities, our negative qualities have to be dropped. They have to be transcended. We cannot develop sattvic qualities and keep our negative qualities also coming along with us. And this is the stumbling block for most spiritual aspirants. You see, we all want to progress spiritually, but we find it extremely difficult, some of us find it extremely difficult to drop our negative tendencies. And because it is so difficult to drop them, we tend to justify having them. And to justify them, we make all kinds of irrational excuses, all kinds of irrational justifications. And we saw Arjun doing that very clearly in chapter 1. Now, what happens when we keep making excuses for our negative behavior? When we keep making excuses and when we keep justifying our negative behavior, we strengthen them. We strengthen our negative behavior, and all the negative habits that we are trying to drop, they keep increasing. For example, let's say you were doing some work and somebody came in and disturbed you, and you had a real temper tantrum. Maybe you are a person who has a big temper and you got really angry, and then you justified that by saying, I got so angry with whoever XYZ because she kept disturbing me while I was doing this important work. You have justified your outburst of anger. Actually, what does it mean? It means I am so important that I can vent my anger on being disturbed and I can get away with it. I am justified in getting angry. When you have justified your anger like that, what have you done? You have given your ego a boost. Now, strengthened by this justification, you have also strengthened the negative tendency of anger. Will you ever be able to get rid of it? No, because you are justifying it. Or let's say somebody loves to buy jewelry. They love to have a lot of jewelry. And they will justify it. They will say, what's wrong with buying jewelry? It makes me look very beautiful. And you know, beauty, it's a sattvic quality. So what if I have a cupboard full of jewelry? Even gods and goddesses have so much jewelry. See their pictures, they have so much gold on them. Actually, what are you saying? Actually, what is happening is, I can't give up my desire for jewelry. And you justify it by saying, surely that could not be an obstacle in my spiritual journey. What have you done? You have strengthened your material desire. And in addition to strengthening this desire, you have also strengthened one's self-view. What is that self-view? I am this body. how will you ever transcend this concept of I am this body to reach that point of understanding where you will realize Aham Brahmasmi? So when you justify, when you make excuses for your negative tendencies, you are only digging a deeper well in which you will drown in your negative beliefs. Now, just think about it. The Kauravas and the Pandavas, they were both from the Kuru dynasty, right or wrong? And they all grew up together in the same palace. Now, in the same way, within us also, our Kauravas and our Pandavas are both within us. Our positive qualities and our negative qualities are also within us. What do we need to do? We need to nurture our positive qualities and we need to eradicate our negative ones. We cannot feel pity for our negative qualities. We cannot pity them. Oh, poor ego, poor desire, poor this, poor sanskar. No, this is misplaced pity. This is not something that will take you higher in your spiritual journey. So, this pity is something we need to get rid of.